All right, welcome to Between the Whistles. I'm your host, Joe Chat, Detroit Lions newest podcast on Between the Whistles Detroit. If you're new to the channel, subscribe. We'll give you a lot of Lions content. And I'm not just a one trick pony. I could talk hockey, I could talk basketball, I could talk football, baseball, whatever you want, okay? I'm just not going to talk politics or badminton. You could go to another channel for that. But the Detroit Lions, the Detroit Lions, there's a lot of fans that are confused about Brad Holmes and what he's going to do in free agency. I'm going to get to that. There's obviously another thing we got to get to with the kicker situation. The Lions have re-signed one of their kickers that they had that they don't even believe in. We'll get to that. But let's start with the first thing. The first thing is Tom Pelissero of NFL Network reported that that salary cap will go up to 255.4 million per club, with an additional 74 million per club in player benefits, which includes performance-based pay and benefits for retired players, which is an awesome thing for the game. Because if we're going to be totally honest, I love that they're taking care of the former players. The benefits are great because you want to take care of your players, not just on the field or not just with financial benefits, but like insurance and all that stuff. That's great for the NFL. The Lions are going to have a lot of salary cap space to play with, and I think a lot of people, when Brad Holmes spoke to the media, and Brad Holmes seriously just straight up lied to you. He lied to you, totally lied to you. He said that they're not going to go make a splash in free agency. He lied. I just did a Red Wings video. That's why I said, this is a one trick channel. You're gonna get everything. Steve Eisenman did the same thing for the Red Wings last year. He said the same thing. He said, we're gonna find our own players that fit our mentality and the way that we want to play and all that jazz. But it came down to one thing. Steve Eisenman and Brad Holmes both know they are trying to get a level up. And in order to get a level up, yes, you have to draft well. That's clear and concise. And Brad Holmes has shown that he has been a great drafter. But you also have to make free agent acquisitions. And last year, Brad Holmes said last year at his press conference, and I'm not going to do it in quotation marks, but Brad Holmes basically said, you know, we want to re-sign our guys. And guess what happened? Chauncey Gardner-Johnson happened, Emmanuel Mosley happened, Cam Sutton happened. I know a lot of people are they don't believe in Cam Sutton. I'll get to that in a future video because that deserves its own video. But he said what he said, and then you got Dave Montgomery. You traded back and got Jameer Gibbs and Sam Laporta, and your offense was phenomenal because of those moves. And I think those were bold moves by Brad Holmes last year, and I don't think he's going to shy away again from his bold moves that he had in year two. He's in year three. He's in year four of his off season, and when I look at Brad Holmes, there's two things that I look at with Brad Holmes too. One, right off the hop, I know that he likes to take chances on players that might have a they might be coming off an injury or something like that, especially in a draft. He's been prone to that. That's the first part. The second part is when he sees an opportunity to get this team better, he does it. Now he could have waited around for Jamal Williams. He didn't. He said, "You know what, Jamal? You want to take your time? We'll go sign Dave Montgomery and get a better running back than you." That's just the reality. And he did it. He did that, and he did a damn good job of it. But all in all, Brad Holmes is doing what he wants to do. And obviously the Detroit Lions have their identity of what they want their team to be. I understand it to a T. The gritty mentality, players that don't, are team oriented, players that are not going to quit on a play. That's one of the reasons that I don't think they went for Chase Young. I don't think they went for Chase Young strictly on one of the things that what he's shown on tape is he quits on plays. And he showed that in against the Lions. Now he could be great 1 minute, and then he's terrible the next minute, and that's not the type of player that Dan Campbell wants in his locker room. Especially on the other end, you have Aiden Hutchinson who never stops, Alex Anzalone who never stops, Brian Branch who never stops. That's the type of players that are going to build this team in the future. And when you look at the free agent class, there is a ton of those guys in this free agent class. And I believe wholeheartedly that Brad Holmes is going to make a big splash this year. I do. Whether it be Daniil Hunter, whether it be, Jalen Johnson if he gets away from the Bears, or L'Jarius Sneed, or something along those lines. I think he's going to make a big splash on the defensive side of the ball because he's done so well on the offensive side of the ball with the Sam Laporta, the St. Brown, Penei Sewell, the draft picks that he's had on the offensive side of the ball, as well as on the defensive side of the ball with Brian Branch and Jack Campbell and Lee McNeil and and if Fatu Melifonwu and Kirby Joseph, like he's done some damn good things on the defensive side of the ball. The problem, and it's credit to Aaron Glenn too. I know Aaron Glenn gets a lot of hate around these parts, but what he's been able to do with the talent that he's been given is been pretty much phenomenal. And I said it all year long. I mean, you look at this, your missed tackle rate. You had two rookies. Two rookies. It was a phenomenal year for Campbell and Branch, and they're only going to get better. And Barnes was someone that was someone that Brad Holmes drafted. Kirby Joseph was someone drafted. You look at the pressures. I mean, this is where you're gonna really earn your money because he's got to get a guy that's going to get pressure on the quarterback. It can't just be Hutch, and it can't just be McNeil, and it can't be a linebacker in the top 5 of pressures on your team. That's the thing that I look at with this Brad Holmes, and I think Brad Holmes he's gonna make a big move this offseason. I could guarantee you with the way that he kind of lied to the media. He's not gonna tell the media, "Hey guys, I'm gonna go make a big move," because what happens is, and I think a lot of the media, especially the shock jocks around town, I think they miss this entirely different part. When you say that if Brett Holmes came out and said, "Yes, we're gonna make a bold move, we're gonna make a big move, we're gonna go get our pass rusher, we're gonna go get a cornerback," or something along those lines. What happens is when you're in negotiations, there might be a team that knows that you're gonna be totally aggressive. And it might be the Bears, it might be the Packers, it might be the Vikings. And they're gonna use your aggressiveness that you showed to the media against you. That's what happens in the NFL with the way that the cap is gone. The way they could say, the Vikings could go out and say, "We're gonna pay Daniil Hunter 23 million," and they have no obligation to pay Daniil Hunter 23 million. They could withdraw the offer at any time, and before Brad Holmes says no to that offer, or he says yes, they could be like, "Yeah, we withdraw our offer," and then that offer stands on the table. That's what I look like. That's what I think Brad Holmes is trying to protect himself against. Being over aggressive and showing his hand, and it's a good poker play move. Now we move on to something that I need to talk about because I have been keen on the Lions drafting a kicker or signing a kicker. I like Will Lutz. I think that Will Lutz has a past with Mr. Dan Campbell and Aaron Glenn in New Orleans with Will Lutz. If you like Harrison Mevis, if you like Reichert from Alabama in the draft, fine. But the Detroit Lions, they re-signed one of their former kickers, Michael Badgley, the Money Badger, per his agent, a 1-year deal. And a lot of people are asking me, a lot of people, they're asking me, what, what, why the Lions do this? Does this mean that they are going to not have a kicking situation? And my philosophy to you and to everybody out there, this is another Brad Holmes brilliant move. Let's say he goes in the free agency, and he goes in the free agency. He wants Will Lutz, or he wants Cameron Dicker, or one of those guys, right? And he goes into negotiations with them, and there's another team on that might get that kicker. Let's say Will Lutz says, "I want to go back to New Orleans." You don't have a kicker. You don't have a kicker. Then you're going into the draft, and they're thinking, "Let's get Harrison Mevis. Let's get Will Reichert," and then they go in the 3rd round like Jake Moody did. What do you do? What do you do? Do I feel like the Lions are going to keep Michael Badgley as their kicker? Absolutely not. Do I think that Brad Holmes is trying to pull a move where, he wants 2 kickers on the roster? Last year, he went into training camp, he had 2 kickers on the roster. Neither were good. Neither ended the season with the Detroit Lions, but that's besides the point. And this is one of the things that Brad Holmes has to nail. The kicking situation is going to be huge. If you can nail that kicking situation, it's going to be huge for this team. And do I take anything about Michael Badgley being re-signed? No, because I think this is safeguarding if Will Lutz doesn't want to come here, if Cameron Dicker doesn't come here, if another kicker that he evaluates in free agency doesn't come here, and then he goes to the draft, and Harrison Mevis is in the third round getting taken by the Indianapolis Colts, or Will Reichert's getting taken in the third round by the Browns or something like that. It protects you. It's a protection thing. And it's not, I don't think that they're going straight after, a kicker like that. I think they're making the moves that they can, but I don't see Michael Badgley as the kicker that they think that, he's going to be a great kicker and they want him on the roster. I think it's a protection plan. Period. I don't think that, I don't think that Michael Badgley is going to be their kicker. I believe they have an ulterior motivation. I believe they want to go get a kicker. I just believe that they're protecting themselves in case the things that could happen during an NFL offseason turns in an NFL draft happen, where the unexpected happens. And that's what I think that Brad Holmes is safeguarding himself against. And I think that they're doing a damn good job of that. And that's where we'll stand. And if you like this video, it was a pretty long video. We got the two news things on the docket. You can subscribe to the channel, like the video. I appreciate it. There will be more Lions content. I think Sunday we're gonna have the mock off season. I'll post it on the YouTube page. So if you're new to the channel, subscribe. You'll get it right to your inbox, or you get the bell icon, and you'll get it all there. But we're gonna take you we're gonna take you to the brink of the NFL season, NFL draft. It's gonna be great. I'll see you in the next video. I'm Joe Chap of Between the Whistles Detroit, and I'll see you in the next one. Thank you.